Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. Here.
Hello, everybody, wherever you may be, from coast to coast and sea to shining sea. Welcome back to Ham Radio Live. Thank you so much for coming. Please subscribe. We don't monetize the channel. We do this to give back and help people in shortwave and ham radio. And we've got a lot of stuff for you today that'll be of help, especially if you're maybe in a restricted antenna location. Plus, we'll have some ham radio news, plus the HF forecast, along with a big story about coming up tomorrow night, CQ Calling. Yeah, CQ Calling's back, powered by MFJ. Be showing at 6 p.m. Pacific. Try and make the call into the show. Hello, everybody. Away we go. Welcome back to the Shack in Oregon. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. So good to see you today. The 19th day of August 2021. Whole passion of our channel here is to help you get into ham radio. First way is to contact a radio club. Then hit the Contact Us bar. Once you do that, it's simple. You just fill out the information. Then they'll send you a radio club near you. Contact that radio club, get to know them. They can not only help you learn about ham radio, but they can also, in many cases, help administer the test for you so you can get your license. It's pretty cool. One of them is the American Radio Relay League. Find them at www.arrl.org. Also, the Radio Society of Great Britain, wonderful group in the UK, www.rsgb.org. In Canada, the Radio Amateurs of Canada, www.rac.ca. In Japan, the Japan Amateur Radio League at www.jarl.org. And in Australia, great folks down there, the Wireless Institute of Australia at www.wia.org. If you'd like to email the show, hit me up at CQ. hamradiolive@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the channel in our mission to help spread the word about ham radio and help people get licensed, today, by the way, we'll work on general and intermediate test questions to help you to license up. You can do so at proverbs356@me.com. Also, want to let you know, we have the wonderful honor of being helped out here by Ham Test Online. It's literally the software that knows you, and it has a money-back guarantee if you fail the test, plus has a free trial. What's not to like about this? Think about this. Ham Test Online. If you don't have your extra, you should. You really should. They'll help you get it, and if you don't get it, your money back. What kind of a deal is that? Ham Test Online, have the link below in the description section so you can hit the link. Seriously, you should have the extra license. And here's the deal. For folks that have the general, and I was one of those people that thought about it for a while, get the general, it's all I need. Here's what you're missing. You're missing DX, a lot of DX, especially on 40, 80, and 20 is on the frequencies you can't work. So get the extra license. And that's why we say go to Ham Test Online and let them help you, because seriously, you will make it work. You really will. Hellos around the world. Hi, John. John Stevens is here. Whiskey Bravo 4, Hotel Zulu Alpha. My goodness, it's a great joy to see you. Thanks, John. Happy Thursday, buddy. My brother Bob, courtesy of WIFI. Hello, my brother. Good to see you, buddy. Patriot Canadian. Hey, that's awesome. Hey.
Hurry up, batter. It's gonna be a short game, and I gotta get home for lunch.
Welcome to the show. That's awesome, dude. That's so funny. Yeah, Casey. Hello, my friend. We're going to help you get a ham radio license. I mean that, seriously. And that's why I'd recommend Ham Test Online. They will help you. Really, Casey, they really will. So welcome to the show, everybody. We're going to talk about the general exam. They help you with not only the general here in the U.S., but the intermediate as well in the U.K. Plus, we'll talk about ham radio news, what's going on in the HF forecast, and how to work remotely from a place that really isn't good for working. I shouldn't say remotely. I should say how to work from like a townhouse, a third floor condo, something like that, where you can't put an antenna up. Some options for you to get you on the air. This is a big show. I hope you enjoy it. First of all, we still have it going on. Of course, the Cuban mosquito. Yep. Still going on frequencies throughout 40 meters. This is what it sounds like in South Florida. Literally. And so for people that are dealing with the earthquake issue in Haiti, you look, 7.15 is being jammed, and it's coming from Cuba. We've triangulated the signal many times. The people in Haiti are trying to get help. And as you can see in the second paragraph, third line down, there are some emergency frequencies that need to be kept open right now. Okay, the 3750 over on 80 meters, 7150 on 40, and 14.330. Again, can't do it if they're being jammed from Cuba, because Cuba is angry with their people and not letting their people speak out because they're fighting for liberty. All right. I'm not going to get political here, but I will say that what's going on is wrong. And hopefully we can come up with a solution. Cuban jamming today, 7.106, 7.116, 7.125, 7.130, 7.135, and then emergency frequency, of course, 7.150, which is absolutely atrocious. That should never, ever happen. When you're going to just, forget about human life because you're trying to silence your own people from speaking out, that really says all you need to know about a government, doesn't it? Also, 7.158, and that one's about S6 in the South Florida, 7.159 and 7.215, also S6, over 25 kilohertz wide of splatter there. RSGB News, special events. This weekend is International Lighthouse and Lightship Weekend. Work a lighthouse in the UK from anywhere in the world. Should be a lot of fun. FCC fees will not go up in 2021. They'll go up sometime in 2022. It's going to work this way. You will pay your test fee, for your test, and then pass your exam. The VEC will send your information to the FCC. You will have already then, you're supposed to get an FRN number from the FCC. So the first step is to contact the Federal Communications Commission here in the United States, and they'll provide you with an FRN. You'll use that FRN throughout the process of getting your license. Once you pass your test, the FCC will then give you 10 days to pay the $35 administration fee, and then your license is going to show up on the FCC US database, and you'll be able to be in ham radio. Pretty cool. So that's pretty cool. Tom joining us from Saudi Arabia. Tom, good evening. Alpha Echo 1 Tango Papa, Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey. That's a long ways away, and it's late. Thanks, Tom. Wow. That's really late. Wow. Can't believe it. This show, just so I'll be clear with this. These shows, think of them like an encyclopedia. They cover a lot of different topics. Every one of them does, and that's on purpose. They're supposed to help you in areas that maybe you might want to learn about. They're not supposed to be the expert at best of everything, but they will give you ideas, like today's show will, about an antenna in a place that might not work well typically for antennas. It's a show that will help you hopefully in that area. We've done shows on MPE exposure. We've done shows on radio reviews, antenna reviews, lots of different content. Think of it like an encyclopedia, but a radio show that's on almost every day to give you the news, forecast, and a subject. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thanks for coming. Mike, Kilo Delta 2, Sierra X-Ray Delta. He says, hello all. Yes, I deal with that every day here in North Florida, and that is pathetic. Yeah, it really is, Mike. That's going on. Scott, hello to you. Good afternoon. Trivia question for us today. And this one's kind of interesting. You're going to have to use your noodles here. How many call sign districts are represented at the Four Corners Monument? Okay, so where Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico meet, right there. How many call sign districts are represented there? All right. Is it A1, B2, C3, or D4? How many call sign districts are represented at the Four Corners Monument? All right. Let's get into the weather. Weather today is powered by ICOM. ICOM, for the love of ham radio. A18 today. You see those sunspots on the top right corner of the sun. Those were the sunspot numbers that were giving us good numbers for about 3 or 4 days. Those are now rotating away. However, there's a new sunspot region that's coming. According to solarham.com, there is an area, AR 2858, that's forming near the center disk and will be monitored. Another small sunspot may be forming just to the west of Plays region 2857. So maybe some new sunspots that'll help us with our solar conditions. Current CMEs doesn't look like we'll have any issues here for coronal mass ejections. Pretty stable there. The KP index, very quiet. This is very quiet. So good conditions out there for your noise levels. MUFs around the world. Alaska, dark, but it was hot earlier. It was well over 30 megahertz. It's right now at 20.77 megahertz. Athens, Greece at 13.7. Jeju Island at 9.73 in Darwin, Australia, waking up at 8.97. Current conditions out of Boulder, Colorado, SFI at 74, solar number 16. So we're up 3 from yesterday. A index of 6, K of 1, which means very quiet conditions. Our solar wind is down to 340.3 kilometers per second. Poor chance to work moon bounce today. Also 6, 4, and 2 E-skip. Looks pretty bad, to be quite honest. The forecast today powered by ICOM. ICOM for the love of ham radio. Daytime ham radio bands open. For voice, I think you get 20 and 17 today. Data 30 to 10. Nighttime handband openings 160, 80, 75, 60, 40, 30, and a 90% chance of 20 meters open till about an hour after sunset local time. And last night, it was about 2 hours, and I was still hearing 20 meters. So get on 20 tonight. You might be thrilled. Shortwave bands for daytime, 31, 25, 22, and 19. Shortwave nighttime bands tonight, going to be 120, 90, 75, 60, 49, 41, 31, 25, 22, and a 90% chance of 19 meters. And don't, if you're not into shortwave, really, you should try and get on 19, even if it's on a remote SDR. It is really quite fascinating, the different countries you'll hear on 19 meters. Try it tonight. You might just be impressed. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you being here. Already have a trivia question response from Mike. Kilo Delta 20 X-ray Delta. Now keep in mind, Mike's pretty sharp. He's already got, I think, 2 of these right. The question today, how many call sign districts are represented at the Four Corners Monument? The answer, he says, is C. And Mike, you are correct. Well done. North America gets back in the game 4-4. So Ireland's on the air with 4. North America with 4. And Europe, we're going to throw some European questions in. We got to do that because we love you guys. And you guys are pretty cool. We love you. Let's get into helping people license up because that's really the passion here, right? It's always been. That's why we're grateful 21 licenses have been achieved, either, the initial license or licensing up to the channel. Today, we're going to work on the intermediate license in the UK. In the US, it's called the general. It's a mid-level license. In the US, gives you 97% of the frequencies available. So let's let it go. 20 questions. 20 questions. 10 for the US, 10 for the UK. It's an honor to do it. Love doing this part of the show. It's a lot of fun. And we'll give you some practical reasons and examples of why the answers are the way they are. So get ready. 10 questions. First, we're going to go for the UK. 10 questions on the intermediate exam. Thank you for joining us today on Ham Radio Live. First question, in the UK, a radio signal that is amplitude modulated, which is AM, right? Okay. Contains what? Okay, contains a carrier and an upper and lower sideband. Remember the metaphor bologna sandwich, okay? Carrier is the bologna, that's the red, and then each piece of bread are the sidebands, upper and lower sideband. So remember, AM is upper and lower sideband, and you'll have a right, okay? Easy. Next question. This is on the UK intermediate exam, second highest license class for people in the United Kingdom. Excessive audio amplitude and excessive audio bandwidth. Excessive bandwidth. No kidding. It's what it is. Yep, that's it. So excessive audio amplitude and excessive audio bandwidth can both cause excessive bandwidth. Just keep that in mind. They give you the answer, so just use that and you'll have it fine, okay? Next, on the UK intermediate, the main mode of HF propagation is due to reflection from the answer here, and be careful, all right? Some people might think sporadic E. Now remember, that does work, but that's more for VHF, okay? And you can work 10 meter E skip too, but for the most part, that's not the answer. It's the F layer. Okay. The main mode of HF propagation is due to the F layer. It's really the only layer. If you get this question, it's the only layer of the ionosphere listed besides the D layer. And remember, the D layer absorbs signals. It doesn't reflect them. If you remember the F layer, and that's the one, you'll get it right. Okay. Next, on the UK intermediate, this one gets you to the mid-level of the United Kingdom licenses. Q codes that you are likely to meet include QRL, QRM, QRT, and QSY. All right. Which of the following is not one of the previous four? So this is, and you've got to look at their questions carefully. Like in the US, it's not just the UK. All right. The question will either say it does or it doesn't. Okay. In this question, it's about what doesn't belong. Okay. So the answers given: A, change frequency. Okay. B, closing down my station. So again, we're looking for the one that's not here. C, who is calling me? Okay. Or D, interference from other stations. Okay. So here's your primer that'll help you. Okay. QRL means, are you busy? Really, that's what it means. QRL is, are you busy? QRM means man-made interference. Okay. QRT means you're shutting down your radio. You're quitting transmitting. Okay. QSY means you're changing frequency. All right. So the one that's missing, the Q code that's missing here is who is calling me. That Q code is QRZ. Remember that, and hopefully the Q codes I gave you will help you a little bit too. Okay. Next, on the UK intermediate exam, which of the following metals are hard to solder by normal means? Okay. Of these four, tin, brass, copper, and aluminum, also known in the UK as aluminium, okay, it would be aluminium. Okay, that's the hardest metal to solder of these four, aluminium. So keep that in mind and you'll have the question right? Next, on the UK intermediate exam, again, our passion here is to help people get licensed. We're also going to show part of a segment on working antennas from maybe a third floor condo or townhouse, someplace where it's hard to put an antenna up. All right. The next question: a beat frequency oscillator is often used to recover the audio for. Okay. The four choices: SSB signal, nope. AM signals, no. FM signals, no. And my friend Jim right here, Whiskey 6 Juliet India Mike from Walnut Creek, California. By the way, welcome to the show. And Jim knows this, and he's saying it is CW, and he'd be 100% correct. Yeah, because you basically, when you're using a beat frequency oscillator, you're trying to go straight on the center of the Morse code signal. That's what you're doing. You're picking up the best you can. It's called beat frequency, right? That's it. All right. Next, in order to produce direct current from the alternating current leaving the transformer, you could use a diode. That's the correct answer. And folks, I'm seeing there's a lag issue. I'm not sure why. I think we're either going to have to replace a modem or a router here because I have reset both and turned every electronic device that uses the internet off in my home. So I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. All right. So keep in mind, in order to produce direct current from the alternating current leaving a transformer, you could use a diode. Remember, diodes are great at doing that. And they also help make current go in only one direction. All right. Next, which of the following statements about light emitting diodes, which is an LED, is not true? The answer is a resistor should be placed in parallel with the LED to limit the current going through it, and you'll be fine. All right? That's on light emitting diodes. All right. And for you folks with lag issues, I am very, very sorry. I really am. I've done everything I can do here. And the next thing is to go, I guess, and purchase some new equipment. I don't know. We'll see. Last one, UK. Capacitors allow alternating current to pass by continually charging and discharging. Okay, keep in mind how capacitors work. All right, Capacitors are like fuel stations for your electric car, right? All right. They're little electrical devices that basically store electricity and release it. Store and release. They help to keep electricity available for your device. That's how it works. So, on this question in the UK, where it says capacitors allow alternating current to pass, it says by continually charging and discharging. That's the reason why. Because capacitors help to keep a continuous but correct flow of electrons going through your circuit. All right. We've got 10 done through the UK. Let's get to the US General. First question on the United States General Exam. First question. What is the approximate length for a half-wave dipole antenna cut for 3.550 megahertz? Okay. The answer is 131 feet. Now, the answer, how do you get here? And this is something I think a lot of people would want to know. How do you get there? We're looking for the approximate length, and obviously they give you feet, right? Okay. 468 divided by frequency. That's how you get it, okay? When you divide 468 divided by any frequency they give you, you'll always get the answer for a half wave. If it is a quarter wave, you're going to divide by 234. You see, because the math makes sense. If you're going for a half wave, always 468. On a quarter, you half it. So it's going to be 234 divided by the frequency. You then have a half wave. That's how it works. All right. Next, on the United States General Exam, this is the second highest license and one that a lot of people really want to get. That's why I want to cover this one pretty strong today. What might cause reflected power at the point where a feed line connects to an antenna? All right. So here's layman's terms, okay? Just layman's mode. It results in the best signal to noise ratio. That's it. There you go. All right. Next question. U.S. General Exam. This is for 97% of all the frequencies that you can use in ham radio in the U.S. What is meant by the term flat topping when referring to a single sideband phone transmission? What it means is it's signal distortion caused by excessive drive. And the drive can be in a couple places typically. Compression and mic gain. Both those will help you, okay? The way to solve this problem of flat topping is you simply use the ALC meter that's on your transceiver. So when you transmit, whether you're using digital modes or you're using SSB, you simply make your needle go to ALC. That's it. ALC. And then when you have transmission going on, for example, you want that meter to go right here. It's going to go right between the blue and the white. If it goes there, you're not going to have to worry about flat topping at all because your signal is going to be pure. It's going to sound good. So what's meant by flat topping when referring to an SSB phone transmission? Signal distortion caused by excessive drive. So turn your compression down, turn your mic gate down, or turn both of them down. That will help you. Next question. Which of the following is an advantage of a transceiver controlled by a digital signal synthesizer, a DDS? Okay. It's variable frequency with the stability of a crystal oscillator. So keep in mind, digital synthesizers are on super heterodyne radios. Okay. It's a crystal oscillator. Now, there is an exception here. The Yaesu series of SDRs use a hybrid. So the incoming variable frequency is set at 9 megahertz with a crystal oscillator. Really. So that's one SDR, difference. But to answer this question, which of the following is an advantage of a transceiver controlled by a direct digital synthesizer? The answer is variable frequency with the stability of a crystal oscillator. If you remember just the word stability, because digital synthesizers are great at helping you stay stable on frequency. So when you get this DDS, remember stability, and you should be just fine. All right, got 3 more for the US. This is the general. All right. What's the reason for neutralizing the final amplifier stage of a transmitter? The answer is to eliminate self-oscillations. You don't want your transmitter having self-oscillation. It's going to create an echo and a whole bunch of distortion. That's what it means. So by neutralizing the final stage of the amplifier, you eliminate the self-oscillations. So your signal comes across pure, hopefully like you sound next door. That'd be great, wouldn't it, if everything sounded that way? All right, last two on the U.S. General. What portion of the AC cycle is converted to DC by a half-wave rectifier? Okay, this is very important. Don't get stuck here. Remember, rectifiers change the cycle, the up and down cycle of a sine wave. So AC is like this. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. DC goes like this. It's just like a bunch of hills. That's what it is. When you use a rectifier, you're changing the angle of this into this. See? It goes from AC to DC, okay? Rectifiers help to change AC to DC, and transformers help to change the voltage or not the amps, but the voltage that goes into a product. That's what transformers do. But rectifiers change alternating current to direct current or vice versa. So when we're talking about a half wave, keep in mind the question says half wave. So read it carefully. If it changed it to a full wave, if this was a full rectifier, it would change it to 360 degrees. But because it's a half wave, it's only 180 degrees. Please read the questions carefully, all right? Last question on the U.S. General. What is meant by the term MMIC? So Mike, India, Charlie. This is simple. Remember it as an integrated circuit, okay? But remember the word microwave. If you just remember microwave, you've got this. That's how I remembered it for the test. Monolithic, which means one, microwave integrated circuit. That's what an MMIC is, right? And there's 20 questions today. It's nice to see you. Sorry about the stream. Yep. Sorry about the stream issue, guys. Yeah, it's one of those things. Don Bush, by the way, good to see you. We got some folks here. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming on. Mike, sorry about this. Terrible. Didn't mean that it was being that bad today. We'll look into this. I'll take a look at the show on replay, and you have my apologies, my friend. I never had this much problem. In fact, what I did today was I unplugged all my Alexa devices. I have 3 of them. Unplugged them all, and then reset the router and the modem. And yeah, anyway, sorry, this is going on. And also, wow, Andy Bronson, Mike 7, X-Ray Tango. Man, oh man. I don't know what's going on. You know what? I think it's because we said the political stuff we said yesterday. I don't care. The guy's an idiot. Our president's as smart as a box of hair. Hey, I want to show something which is really cool. By the way, Don Bush also, good to see you. Whiskey Alpha 2, Tango Papa uniform. Thank you very, very much for coming today. It's good to see you, Don. You know, yesterday, I had a wonderful day, fun day. In the middle of all these appointments and stuff. Wednesdays usually don't have appointments, but yesterday, of course, there was. But there are 3 little girls down the street. No joke. I got shows with you because this is a fun show. We talk about radio here, but we're real too, right? I mean, we talk about stuff in our lives, which is great. So 3 little girls down the road, and they have this little stand. Not selling, lemonade. No, they're selling painted rocks, and the painted rocks. Get this, it's funny. The painted rocks. At first it said on their little sign, it said, painted rocks for sale, and they crossed out sale and they put free. And these little girls are always so sweet to me when I walk by because I use a cane. And like the 5-year-old or the 3-year-old will say, be careful of the toy. And they'll go run out and get the toy out of the sidewalk. They're sweet. So anyway, yesterday, I went over to them and I gave them $10. And I said, look, you guys save this. And $10 is a lot of money for me. But it was so special for these little girls. I thought, you know what, just give 2 5s. This will be fun. So I gave it to him. I said, oh, look, here's the deal. Give me your favorite rock, the one that you made that you think is the best rock you made. So I want to share this with you because it's fun. So I got a spider, okay, a little spider rock from one of them. This one here was from the 7-year-old, okay? The 4-year-old 3-year-old drew me the heart. Okay. And then the 5-year-old did this. And she even wrote, "It is a bunny." So I want to thank my little neighbor girls. That's sweet. So they're going to sit here right in the desk, and they're going to always be a part of the show because it's a special group of kids. All right, let's talk about, let's say, for example, you're in a high rise, right? You're in the 3rd floor of a 7-floor townhouse or condominium, and you want to be in ham radio, right? But you're having a hard time doing it. There's a really great video that's out on how to do this. I'll have the video in the description, how you can find it. It's great. It's from the land of kangaroos, wallabies from Australia. Take a look at this. 7 ideas for people who are space restricted, but would still like to be in ham radio.
I'll present 7 ideas on small courtyard or balcony antennas for HF. A lot of amateurs think that they might only have a courtyard 3 or 4 meters wide, and then they look at dimensions for antennas like a 40-meter dipole, that's 20 meters end to end, and they might conclude, well, there's no way I'm going to have room to operate HF in this area. In this video, I'll give some ideas on how that's not actually true. Even with a small amount of space, there's a lot you can do, including getting on the HF bands. If you are in an apartment, it really helps if you've got a balcony, particularly the type that you can open up and stick an antenna out of, especially if there's a railing and there's enough clearance up the top to have a reasonable amount of height. So if your balcony sticks out, or maybe you're on the top, then that really helps. And what you can do with railing is that you can stick maybe 3 or 4 vertical antenna mounts. Then you can have something like a 5/8 vertical on 2 meters. That will also double as a quarter wavelength on 6 meters, so you get 2 bands straight from there with the 1 antenna mount. You might also have a separate mounting for something like 10 meters. 10 meters is a band that won't be open all the time, but it will give you efficient performance from a small vertical, even if it's only 1.5, 1.8 meters long, something like a cut down CB whip. And particularly on CW and digital modes, you can get away with verticals for lower HF bands like 40 and 20 meters. You might have an arrangement where you just screw in the vertical you want to use. So if 15 meters is open, then you just screw that in, or maybe at night and you might want to try 7 megahertz, you just unscrew the 15 meter vertical and screw in this one for 7 megahertz. Now, the sort of verticals I'm talking about are mobile type antennas normally. They won't be very efficient, particularly on a band like 7 megahertz. But if you're using CW or digital modes, then you should still be able to make contacts. And especially if you've got a bit of height, that can help as well. If you've got a balcony, if you're in an apartment, then consider using its railing and put some mobile antenna mounts on there and have some verticals. Depending on local activity, you might want to try different band combinations. For instance, you could get a mobile antenna for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. That could screw into one of your antenna mounts. And for 6 and 10 meters, one possibility is you could try getting a vertical antenna for 10 meters, say a 27 megahertz CB whip. You might be able to put a trap in it at say 1.3 meters or so above the base, and if you get the inductance and capacitance values for the trap right, then you could make it a dual band trap vertical for 50 and 28 megahertz. So if you do that, you'll be able to get multiple bands with a relatively small number of antenna mounts on your balcony. Another thing that could be possible with a balcony, especially if you're higher up, is to dangle a extendable fishing pole. Reason why I say extendable is there might be cases where you are a bit sensitive about your antenna being visible all the time, so you might only stick it up either when you're on the air or at night when no one's going to see it. And if you do that, if you're sufficiently high up, you could dangle a wire straight down, and that will give you quite good performance on HF. You could tune it up as an in-fed, you could possibly use the balcony railing as sort of a counterpoise, and possibly even use a ground tuning unit. I've done videos on that, and I think that will give you quite good performance on HF. Another option, if you are not very high up above the ground and you've got some clear air, is you can have your telescoping pole at an angle from the balcony so it projects up, and if you've got say an 8 or 9 metre pole, then you can have a vertical antenna. It will probably pick up noise from the various apartments above you, but you will still be able to get on the air, and that's a possibility for bands like 40 and 20 metres. This is more if you are in an older or low-rise apartment, but depending on the roof, you might be able to get into the loft if you are in a top floor. And if you can do that, then you can string something up, a dipole, maybe even a trap dipole. You could get 2 bands like 40 and 20 metres out of it. A fan dipole, that means more wires, but you're not having to mess around with traps, so you're getting full bandwidth on all the bands. Or you could just have a single wire split in the middle as a doublet, and that will work quite well on all frequencies above about 1/3 of a wavelength end to end. So if you've got room for, let's say, 7 metres end to end, then that will work quite well as a dipole for frequencies above about 14 megahertz. And you can just have your balanced or open wire feed line going down, antenna coupler, and be able to tune up quite a few bands with that from 14 right up to 50 megahertz. So if you've got access to the roof space, not many of you will, but that is a possibility if you can. The only thing is that the roof can't be metal, that will block the RF, so better if you've got a tile roof or slate or timber, something like that, but not metal. Another possibility you should think about is opening windows. Some windows you can't open very far. Other cases you can open the windows quite a distance and be able to stick things out of, like wires if you're lucky. There might be a tree or something you could tie it to, or you could leave it dangling, or maybe a pole that will stick the wire so that it's projecting out from the building and you can load that up. Just use thin wire. It might not even be permanent, it might just be temporary, that you would roll in anytime you want to finish. Now, if you can't get access to opening the window, but you do have access to both sides of the window, then you could do an experiment like I did in an earlier video, where I sent RF through the window by making a capacitor. In my case, I just used kitchen aluminium foil, just a big square rectangle thing on either side, probably the bigger the better, and that can allow you to transmit RF through the glass window. You're probably quite limited. There would be a lot of people in apartments where you don't necessarily have access to both sides of the window, but if you do, then that is one possible idea. Another possibility is making up a metal mounting bracket and mounting some mobile antennas. That could work in cases where you don't have a balcony but you do have a window. You might still be able to get the wire going out through the window opening and be able to use that as an antenna. If you've got access to a bit of garden, even if it's only a small square of garden, a small courtyard, then you have a lot of opportunities. Yes, you might not have very much width, but you do have a bit of height. So that's where you should be consider either a vertical. Now, a problem with a vertical is that you'll need some radials and you might not have much room. Even if you don't have much room, put out as much as you can, maybe even twist and coil the radials, maybe even consider a short counterpoise and a ground matching unit. Even something like a telescoping pole that's 9 or 10 meters long, that's a quarter wavelength on 7 megahertz, nearly a half wavelength on 14 megahertz. So that is a possibility. If you've only got a small courtyard, then a vertical like that can be a good antenna to get you on HF. Another thing I would suggest is an inverted L. Even if it's got a loading coil at the top, and you can get some economies in antenna length and still be able to get on the air. For example, I described it was more for portable use rather than home use, but you could definitely build one of these from home. I'd say it was a shortened half wavelength end-fed wire. The normal length for 7 megahertz is 20 meters or half wavelength, but in this case I was able to get it down to 12 meters total length end to end. And if you've got a length of 12 meters, then that makes it much easier to fit into a small yard, especially if a lot of it is vertical as an inverted L. So you could have, say, a 9 meter long pole, the wire going from the bottom up to the top, then the rest could go horizontal. And even if your yard was only 4 meters wide, then you could fit that in. You might want a second pole so that the top of the inverted L is as horizontal as you can. But yes, that offers a lot of opportunities. The wire that I described was basically a tri-band antenna. It was 12 meters long total. At the 10 meter point was a loading coil, which was used only on 7 megahertz. The 10 meter bit, the bottom bit by itself, that was a half wavelength vertical on 14 megahertz, and the antenna also worked on 28 megahertz. So watch that video. It's very simple, just a wire matching unit at the bottom and a loading coil not too far from the distant end, and that can get you on 3 HF bands, even if you've only got a narrow courtyard. So as I mentioned before right at the beginning, a 7 megahertz dipole is 20 meters from end to end, but you can economize a lot on that by doing tricks like the inverted L, where you could accommodate that band in a courtyard only 4 meters or so wide. And that is really good if you are in small townhouses, villas, units, we call them in Australia, and you can still get on the air, get on HF, despite having a much smaller yard than you would have if you had a large house and land. So definitely look into that. There's only a few things you really need to be experimenting. Basically, thin insulated wire, get as much as you can, as you'll be using it for various antenna experiments. A telescoping fishing pole, maybe 9 meters or so tall. An antenna coupler, like an L-match. A lot of ideas on my website. And that's pretty much it. You can do a lot with antennas with those basic ingredients.
How about that? That's very well done. And I really want to take a moment to say thank you to a guy who put a lot of time in that video. It's not enough just to say, you know, hey, guy did pretty good. He did amazing. That's VK3YE. And VK3YE has a great YouTube channel right here on YouTube. Just search for him, VK3YE, and you'll find his stuff. Thank you for his work. I appreciate it. Another idea. And this one just is my idea. And you know what? Again, this channel is about showing content, ideas, and experimenting. And ham radio is about experimentation. You know, a lot of people consider and do indoor loop receive and transmit antennas. I'm not really a big fan of that because of RF exposure. Okay, and one could argue, what's the difference between hanging an antenna, a wire out the window, because now you're exposing your neighbors as well, and that's a valid argument. All right, but for people who might be on the third, fourth floor, whatever, second floor, you don't have any access to grass, you can't put it on the roof. What do? Another idea that I have versus putting like an indoor loop in, okay, would be to build something like this. You have a 2x4 coming down. Your wall is here, okay, and you have a 2x4 here. This is to straddle the wall under your windowsill to be able to hold this in place from bending or moving around the wind too much. You're going to close the window down on this. The window's going to come right down here. Here's the outside of your window. Here is a 2x4 above. This is simply a way to put a 2x4 out any length that you feel safe with. And I probably wouldn't go over 4 or 5 feet just because you got to think about this thing falling out your window just in case, hurting someone, right? Don't want to do that. But you're going to have a pretty light antenna on top. What if you put a tar heel, right? You put a tar heel antenna up there. Tar heels can cover 200 to 1500 watts. They also can cover from 160 to 6, depending upon the tar heel antenna you use. These are mobile antennas, but they're high performance antennas and they work brilliantly. All right, they really do. Let's take a look at a video that uses a tar heel. Now, keep in mind, in a vehicle, but you could put that tar heel right there on that piece of wood and get the same performance. Just ground it. That's all you're gonna have to worry about. Let's take a look at the video and find out more.
Hi, welcome to Ham Radio Cage.
I just hit you the wrong video there, and that was from a different video, and I'm sorry, I hit the wrong one. Let me show you the right video now. This is the right video on how to do this quickly, but also how well it works. Again, just 3 2x4s. If you're on the third floor, your antenna is right there. It's outside, and it's radiating. And, you know, put it in a window that's away from where you're working, so it's safe for you, and hopefully away from a neighbor as well. Okay, just some good advice. Let's take a look at that, how well it works, and what you can do with it.
Hey, this is Dave from Low Country area, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm just going to do a video on my ICOM 7100 mobile install with a little tar heel antenna. So this is it here. I have a RAM mount, and that just a piece of metal with some magnets, and it just locks itself down right there. That is the Ameritron SDC102.
Okay, we'll stop there. The SDC102. There are 2 products that's made by MFJ. All right, one of them is the SDC102. The other one is the MFJ 1924. They're identical products. They sell for about $170. They have 5 memories in them. So 5 memories for 5 different frequencies. Again, these antennas will work you, depending upon the tar heel you buy, from 160 to 6. You can work 200 watts to 1500 watts. No joke. So think carefully on this. Look what else this can do.
For the little tar heel. Great signals. I have very good luck with it. Go ahead and pause the video and I'll show you the little tar heel.
Okay, so he's going to show the tar heel to you. And basically what the tar heel is it's an antenna that sticks up like this, and it has a loading coil in it, and it will have a point that comes up, a little whip, and that's going to go up and down. Okay, that's how a screwdriver antenna works. Okay, so it's going to automatically go up and down. What that controller does is it pushes the antenna or pulls it in to the correct length the antenna needs to be that you've figured out for a given band. So say it's 80 meters, okay? You press one of those 5 memory buttons or you push the up-down button, it's going to raise and lower the antenna until your SWR is right spot on. No joke. So if you were to take and put the tar heel out and basically stick it outside your window on a piece of plywood, 2x4, or something similar, something light even, but durable. Make sure it can handle wind and rain. Put at the end, it's at least a transmitting antenna. It's at least a receiving antenna. And it's a good antenna. It's not a bad antenna at all. People around the world are making great calls with Tar Heels. Let's go back that video and he'll show you more about what it looks like. Okay,
hey, this is Dave from Low Country area, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm just going to do a video.
So let's take a quick look. He's going to show you the Tar Heel antenna. Pause the video. There it is. So imagine putting this on the end of a piece of wood outside your house. Again, this is not for everybody. This is for people who are stuck in the middle floors of a tall building. Putting something like that at the end of a piece of wood outside your window. Take a look.
There's the little Tar Heel 2. This particular antenna has the 56-inch whip that comes extra. It's worth getting. This is how I have it mounted.
See, it just picks up coax exactly like any other antenna does, and that antenna will automatically go up and down, up and down, up and down. And it will help keep you on the air with good SWR and solid power to make QSOs. It's a great alternative if you're space restricted, if you're stuck in the middle floors of a building, right? And you can't put an antenna on the ground or on the roof. You just simply stick something out the window like that. Make sure you know your MPE limits, okay? The ARL, the RSGB, the WIA all have MPE exposure calculators. So please know what those limits are before you transmit, because it's not only important for you, it's important for your family and it's important for your neighbors if you're in a multi-tenement building, all right? But that's an idea, and that will work. It really will, because that antenna is already proven to work so well in remote applications. You can use it at a home that's on a third floor of a big building and then have yourself an antenna that's going to work great. And when you're done, you can take it out of the window. Okay, think about it. Tar Heel plus the MFJ 124, I believe it is, or the Ameritron as well. They both are the same thing. It's just simply a controller that electrically controls the Tar Heel antenna going up and down so it matches your SWR. So it's a very, very good combination. I'd recommend both, okay? Because if you don't do that, then you're literally manually adjusting the Tar Heel up and down. This will have memories. It works brilliantly. The MFJ 1924, the SDC 102 by Ameritron, plus the Tar Heel, any of them will work brilliantly for you. Want to welcome someone new to the show. This is Ross Bickle. His call sign, my tongue is really dry. Sorry, Ross. Wow. Kilo Golf 0 Bravo Kilo. First timer. Welcome, Ross. Welcome, Ross. Good to see you. Madly looking for my water. It's great to see you, Russ. Thanks for coming today to Ham Radio Live. It's great to have you. Thank you. Again, we just put together shows here without monetization. We don't charge. We simply try to help people. You know, it took me a long time to get my ham license, more than it should have, honestly. I mean, I've always loved radio. But the point is, these shows are just little snippets of various things you can do in amateur radio. Okay? From like yesterday's show, digital modes, to work in the space station. We did that a couple months ago. Okay, right? Other subjects, other topics. The channel tries to cover multiple things in amateur radio. Think of it like an encyclopedia, all together with different elements, different segments, different ideas. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We helped with general and intermediate questions. We also talked about ways you can get an antenna out if you're high up on a multi-tenement building. And we also talked about the current HF conditions plus ham radio news. You'll always get that HF news and ham and shortwave news plus the HF forecast in every show. And you'll always get my very best. I appreciate you coming. We've got to say a quick hello before we go, and that is to my friend Jeff in Canada. So we got Canada in the house, my mate Steve Austin all the way in Liverpool. It's my Liverpool mate. Steve, welcome, buddy. Good to see you. We're in 3 continents today, which is great. So we're Europe, North America, and we've got UK and VK both in the house. Australia, welcome. Thanks, buddy. It's great to have you. It's always good when you're here. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Ham Radio Live is really a passion for me. It's my way to give back and help people. And I am so thankful that 21 licenses have been, helped to, be achieved through this channel. That's humbling to me. And it's always neat to get those emails from people that say, thank you for what you did because it helped me get my license, or it encouraged me to get my license back. Those are priceless to me. And I save those. Thank you. For all of you around the world, wherever you may be, thank you for coming to Ham Radio Live. If you would like to get into amateur radio, let me suggest to you today the Radio Amateurs of Canada, a great group of people who will help you get licensed, even if you're not in Canada. Simply fill out the Contact Us form and then send it in. They will help you find a radio club near you that you can contact and learn about ham radio. They might even be able to help give you the test and help teach you the materials you need so you can pass the test. Find them at www.rac.ca. My name's Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. It's been a true joy to spend this time with you today. I'll leave you with one of the rarest radio sign-offs in history. It's from the most powerful medium wave station, that means AM dial, ever. WLW, when they were 500,000 watts. This sign-off is from 1935. Until next time, wherever you may be, God bless you from Oregon. Goodbye, everybody.
This is the nation station. WLW, the Crosley Radio Corporation, Cincinnati.
Ladies and gentlemen, with this presentation, we are concluding the broadcasting activities of WLW, the nation station, owned and operated by the Crosley Radio Corporation, Cincinnati, Ohio, the United States of America. By authority of the Federal Communications Commission, WLW operates at the assigned frequency of 700 kilocycles and uses a full signal strength of 500,000 watts. Speaking on behalf of the entire staff of WLW, the world's most powerful broadcast station, may I bid you a pleasant good night and good morning.
Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.